the level of tolerance now comes in. And so let's try to understand them. I know some fathers, they are not as emotional as mothers, so that's the area, but I can tell you fathers, they love in a very special way.
Right, they do. So we celebrate all the fathers. So what are we looking at this afternoon?
So this afternoon we're looking at cybersecurity. How can you stay safe online? I must confess that one of the, will I say, benefits of the COVID-19 era is that more and more people are now online. Everyone is trying to project, their brands as individuals or as businesses. And so you have more people online. And even as we pay attention to physical health, in terms of safety physically, we must also focus on staying safe online. And so today we want to learn and understand what are those different ways we can stay safe online. And to discuss this with us, to enlighten us this on this episode, it's a very great privilege, I tell you, to welcome and to introduce an amazing, beautiful young woman. Her name is Danielle Ekohwo. She is an IT support specialist, a consultant, and an instructional designer. Danielle, you're welcome to Mindscope.
Thank you, Shagilola.
How are you feeling?
I feel good.
You feel good?
Yes.
Very young. You got married recently.
Yes.
Even though you don't look like it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I must say that I'm always fascinated by women in the technological space. And so you're an IT support specialist, a consultant, and an instructional designer. If I may ask, why this path? Why this career path?
Okay, I'm an IT support specialist and also an instructional designer because I studied curriculum and instructional designer. So if you see the way the course is, it's more of using technology in education. So that is why I've been able to pursue this path in both IT and education.
Now, what inspired that decision?
Well, I love children, and it's natural for me to be able to be a teacher.
Okay.
Especially children. So, and I also like tech. I'm a tech person. I like to know what's going on. I like to play around with technology, with devices and all that.
Okay, that's powerful.
Thank you.
Right. So let's talk about cybersecurity. What is cybersecurity?
All right. So first of all, before I talk about what cybersecurity is, I'll talk about the cyberspace. We do almost everything online, and all of this makes up the internet, which is the cyberspace. And because of this evolving nature of the things we do online, the services and everything, it makes the cyberspace an attractive target for criminals, because we know that not too many people are knowledgeable about the way people can be hacked online or things like that. So people are usually ignorant of the way they can be hurt online. I usually say hurt because when someone takes your ATM cards and steals all your money, you get hurt, you feel sad.
True.
So people are usually ignorant of these things, and it's something that evolves every year. Hacking is something that is evolving. Most of the time, we cybersecurity professionals, we cannot keep up, but it's something that we always fight to keep these people down. So let's move on to cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is the knowledge, tools, and the best practices related to protecting your computers, your programs, communication networks, and other data that make your digital life possible. So that is cybersecurity.
Okay. And
the goal of cybersecurity is to protect your information assets. And if you ask me, what is your information assets? Your information assets are your valuable information that you possess. We possess our bags, our shoes. We also possess information assets, like your password. Your password is your asset, is your personal belonging.
True.
Your PIN and other online credentials and documents, those are information assets. So cybersecurity comes in now to help you protect them and keep the bad guys away. Thank you.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So what are the risks to having poor cyber security?
All right, so there are so many risks to having poor cybersecurity, but I'll just outline 5 here.
Okay.
So one risk is loss of data. So right now we hear of big companies being hacked, and they usually it's called ransomware. They threaten the company that if they don't pay so and so amount, they are going to wipe off their data or trade their data. And most of the time when they do these things, you can't have access to this data. So when it's because those companies have poor cybersecurity, and it usually results in them losing their data, and they can't have access to it. So imagine your phone, or usually store, let's imagine, all your music, your credentials online.
Very true.
And then someone
content and all
someone
videos.
takes your phone now and wipes away everything just because maybe you don't have a password or you don't have a good password. So you've lost everything. You can get them back, but it will take a very long period of time, and most of the time it's difficult for you to get the exact same information you lost. So that is a risk of cybersecurity, poor cybersecurity.
And that goes in line with the idea now that data is actually the new gold.
Yes,
and so
data is life.
Yeah, honestly.
We also have identity theft. When, for example, now someone steals your ATM card and uses it to make purchases in your name. So that is a risk of cybersecurity. We have financial loss, where someone withdraws all the money in your account. So if you are not already practicing good cybersecurity, you are at a disadvantage of losing your money or your credentials. And also, this one is last but not least, is downtime. I remember the first time I got hacked into my ATM details, and so I couldn't do anything that period because I was running helter-skelter to the bank, trying to recover my password, trying to they usually call it blocking your ATM card. So that period that they blocked your ATM card, and the time they are waiting for your new one, you can't do anything. So it's the same thing. People complain of someone hacked into their Facebook account or their Instagram, and they won't be able to do anything. And so for that period of time, you are just almost helpless. So that is one of the risks of poor cybersecurity.
That's great. So let's talk about now, how can hackers actually get to one? Because I imagine, it's such a deep question. How do they get across to us?
Okay, there are so many ways that hackers can get to you. So many ways, but I'll just outline 8 here. The first one is phishing. Phishing, it's more like a pun, like fishing, taking nets to be taking fish.
Okay.
So this is phishing now, phishing.
Okay, yeah.
Phishing is more like an attempt by hackers to steal valuable information from you. They pretend to be someone that you know, or for example, now they might pretend to be from your bank or your colleague. It's usually called social engineering. Imagine your dad calls you now and tells you that they need social, maybe like your date of birth or something, some other sensitive information. So you will trust the person because it's someone that you know, but not knowing that it's someone else, a bad person.
So they'll need one's personal information.
Yes. So we usually have 3 types of phishing. We have phone call phishing, where someone calls you and asks you for some information. They'll tell you that they are from your bank or the government, and they need these details like your date of birth or some other sensitive information like your ATM details, your financial details. We have the email phishing. You will see an email that looks genuine, and you would think it's from a genuine party, not knowing that they are from the bad guys. So we need
to be careful answering calls and even answering email.
Yes,
okay.
Of course. Yes.
Be careful.
I'll get to that very soon.
Okay.
Yes, so that is phishing. So they can get to you through phishing. They can also get to you through spamming. Most of the time, we get mails from different people. You don't know how they got your email, but we all know that people sell our data online. Places that you've signed in with, those people have sold your data to some of these guys. So most of the time, you think you are secure, but you're actually not. So when you see an email from someone that you don't know, and they are promoting something like, click on this link and you'll win 50,000 naira, and it's so, when something is so good to be true, you have to be aware of those things.
Very true.
So that is spamming too, like getting unsolicited mails from someone that you think you know, but it's spamming and it's hacking. So you shouldn't.
How about sites? I read online about sites that one has to be careful about certain sites too.
Yeah, sure. There are some, for example, now some game sites, some movie sites where you can download things, and also right now Bitcoin is everywhere. So there are some sites that promise you heaven and earth. So we should be careful of those sites too, because they are trying to steal your data or steal your information. So it's not all sites that you log into and provide your details. So it's not just about going to the site. Most of the times they usually want something from you. So you just have to be careful that you are giving your information to the right set of people.
Often what they do is they set maybe like a bait. So
yes.
If you're not careful, if you're not wise,
yes.
you just
we see it everywhere. We see it on Twitter. You see an ad that says get 30% ROI on your investment, and some people are like, oh, I will just be in my home sitting and make this kind of amount of money. So those are the things they put something that it touches someone that you can fall for. So we have to be careful of those sites too.
Okay.
We have spoofing. Yeah, this spoofing is more like, for example, it's more like a disguise. Yeah, it's a disguise that you see a mail coming from, for example, www.worldbank.com, and you would think it's coming from worldbank.com. Well, most of the time, if you after this showdown, you can go and check some of those sites. If you put your, if you want to open your mail now, you click on the mail and you see that it's not actually from www.worldbank.com. It's from someone, and they have a spoofing software that enables them to disguise their email address with another email address. So that is another way. So if you click on the mail, if this was a TV show now, I would have done that, but you can do it by your normal Gmail app on your phone. There is this small arrow when someone sends you a message from the sender. So when you click on it, you actually see the person that it's from. So you have to be careful too. When someone sends you a suspicious mail, you have to check who it actually is from, because it might not be the person you're expecting it to be.
So if you're suspicious, don't respond to it.
Exactly. Don't send any information. Do not.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one is very important. Some people don't put passwords on their phones or their laptops. They just believe that I'm the only one using it, or I'm in my house, or is it my dad or my brother that is going to do this bad thing to me. But most of the time, you should always password your phone, because you won't know when you go out and you leave it somewhere and someone just does something with your phone, send all the money you have in your account to his own account. So you have to make sure your phone is passworded, or you put a pin on your password, and don't make the mistake of using your password using the name like your name, your date of birth. Some people use their date of birth, and that is very wrong. You're opening a window for them, because most of the time when someone wants to guess your password, they guess it from personal things about
details
you,
around
like your child's name, your date of birth, your birthday. So avoid using those things. We'll get to choosing a good password later in the show.
Okay.
All right. So we also have free Wi-Fi. This is it's not very popular, but yeah, some people they like free Wi-Fi, especially when you get to some hotels and they provide this free Wi-Fi. So free Wi-Fi is usually used by hackers to get people to connect. First of all, you need to connect to them. So they have a software that they use to monitor what you are using the Wi-Fi to. It can be your browsing history, it can be what you are trying to do. Maybe you opened your bank app. There's something called your digital footprint. So they are able to see the things you are doing as you are connecting to their own Wi-Fi. So
you're saying we should be careful.
Yes,
and you enter buses.
Yes, you should avoid free Wi-Fi as much as possible. But if you need to use free Wi-Fi, we should download a virtual private network. I know now people just use VPN for Twitter now, but actually something that has been on for, it's something that it's there. You use it to protect yourself.
Okay.
There are some, for example, if in some newscasters that probably go to Iran or Afghanistan to take the news, they usually use VPN to report their news so that the bad guys won't know their location, where they are reporting from.
Excellent.
So this VPN, it's something that if you want to use a free Wi-Fi to make payments online,
okay,
you use the VPN to cover your location and your details. So they might see that you are doing something, but they don't know where you are and the specific details. So VPN is very good if you really need to use Wi-Fi.
Let's ride on to protecting ourselves.
Right.
You mentioned that.
Yes.
Can we go to that?
All right.
Yes.
Okay. So how can you protect yourself? You protect yourself first by protecting your devices, because most of the issues we have are we use these apps and these websites with our phones or our laptop. So you have to make sure you protect your devices. And how can you do that? I've talked about using good passwords.
Yes.
Then if you need to, for example, you're at work now and you need to maybe use the bathroom or take your coffee, you leave your laptop open like that. You should lock your system with a password before you go anywhere. So that is another way. Then when you're not using your Wi-Fi, hotspot, Bluetooth, you should turn them off, because if it's on, someone can easily connect to it and see what you have been doing since. Because we think the browser is something personal, but anybody can see what you are doing if you are connected to a network.
So when you're talking about the hotspot now, how can we be careful?
Okay.
Does it mean people around can access one's data or what information?
Yes, data is different. Data can be airtime that you use to browse, but the data I'm talking about is your digital footprint, what you are browsing on, the apps you are using. So if you leave your hotspot on, someone can connect to it, and when I can connect to your phone, I can easily intercept your network and see what you are doing. There are special apps for this. Special apps and softwares for these activities. So we might not know, but they can know. That is why most of the time the government can see what you are doing from anywhere, because if you are doing something bad, you can easily know what you are doing with your phone. So
very true.
That is very, very, very important.
Okay.
All right. So the next thing is using two-factor authentication. That is 2FA. Most of the 2FA, two-factor authentication.
Authentication.
Yes.
Okay.
So apart from the password, there are some sites and some websites we use and apps that if we need to log into these accounts, apart from the password we provide, they send a password to your email or your message to actually check that you are the one who is logging into. So most of the time people just forgo it and like they don't need it, but it's actually very, very important, because sometimes someone can guess your password, but they cannot guess your two-factor authentication that the apps will send to you,
because it's personal.
Yes,
it happens to me at times. So even if that the one they send is not useful, you have to you request for another one.
Yes. So that is a very important step when you are trying to protect yourself online. You should always enable
go through the step.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So make it a habit of clearing out your browser history or cookies. There are some people that do not ever clear their browser history or cookies. You will see someone's browser history of more than 2 years, and although you might not be doing any bad thing or anything like that, but if someone can get your phone now and see everything you are doing, there might be some sites that you log into and probably you didn't log out, and person can log into and do something that you yourself you would never do. So make it a habit of at least every 3 months clear out your browser and history, and if you really need to use that site, you can bookmark the page or something instead of just leaving your tabs and history just like that. So make sure you clear your history and your cookies periodically.
Wow.
All right. So let's talk about firewalls and antivirus. Our laptops usually comes with firewalls, especially the Windows operating system. It's free of charge. You don't need to buy it, so it's something you can make use of. Always make sure your firewalls are on your laptops, and you can get antiviruses. There are so many. There is Norton, there is Kaspersky, so you can get those ones.
Need to buy some.
Yes.
Okay.
Firewalls are especially Windows firewalls are free. It comes with your Windows laptop. But antivirus is something you have to get, something you have to download, or if you need to buy it. So, but it's external, so you have to get that one by yourself.
Wow, this is interesting.
Yeah. So next up is your Wi-Fi password. When we get a phone or a laptop, the Wi-Fi password that usually comes with it is 0000 or ABCD. So you should change it, because hackers can usually easily guess the password that is 0000. Some people don't ever change their default password. So make it a habit of changing your default password to something that is strong. Make sure you keep your operating system and apps updated.
Okay.
Some people don't update their apps, they just leave it like that. But the thing with updating your system is that, like I said, hackers, they evolve in their way of getting to people. So what updating your apps does is that you are a step ahead of them. If you don't update your apps, they can easily get to you because you are using the older version of that app. So you have to update it to be a step ahead of them.
And something interesting is that you always get notifications.
Yes, but some people ignore that.
So we need to pay attention
Yes.
to all those notifications. Okay,
Yes.
so as we round up, let's look at developing a culture of awareness now.
All right. So this is just making sure that you are not taking this security thing for granted. Sometimes you just have to make good choices online. Like, for example, you use a good password. You just make sure you use a good password. Don't use your date of birth for your password. Please don't do
And don't
that.
use your spouse's name,
Yes.
your children's name, and all that. Okay.
Yes. Then also follow up on news on how to protect yourself, because these things are evolving every time. So you have to make sure you know what's going on, how you can protect yourself. What I'm saying here now, it might be outdated in the next 3 months. So
Very true.
you have to make
update
sure
yourself with recent information.
Yes. Then also in your office, you don't have to wait for your IT personnel to tell you what to do. You should secure yourself by yourself. Make sure your family what they are supposed to do, because if they can't get to you, they can get to your loved ones, and they hurt everyone. So that's just
so it has to start with you.
Yes.
When we're looking at cyber security.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Danielle Ekohwo.